So, welcome everyone to the March edition of Yoga Samvād, Dialogues on Yoga. This is part of the Peace and Sustainability Through Yoga initiative organized by Ritambhara that we started in association with the International Yoga Day in 2020. And as many of you who might be attending this dialogue series for the past few months know, we've been inviting eminent scholars and experts from diverse fields to engage in insightful dialogues on yoga and interact with those who are having an interest to have a deeper understanding of the different dimensions of yoga. And the broad model that we are following in this dialogue series is the unique framework of Saptasura designed by Sri Raghu Ananthanarayanan and Srimati Shashikala Anant, co-founders of Ritambhara Ashram. And for today's session, we have with us a very special guest, Shabnam Virmani. Welcome, ma'am. Shabnam Virmani is a filmmaker, singer,
Thank you.
And she has been exploring the philosophy of Kabir, Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai, and other mystic poets through a deep engagement with their oral traditions for close to 2 decades. Her deep inspiration in this poetry and its wisdom has taken the shape of 4 documentary films on Kabir and the creation of a vast digital archive of mystic poetry and music called Ajab Shahar, as also translating, writing, curating, and organizing urban festivals and rural yatras, as well as kindling interest in the students to experience the beauty of mystic poetry. She has co-authored 2 books on mystic and Sufi poetry, published by Penguin and Speaking Tiger, and is currently working on her 3rd book, Burn Down Your House: Life Lessons from Kabir. She also curates, interprets, and sings a diverse repertoire of folk songs of the mystics to both rural and urban audiences. Her film Kabira Khada Bazaar Mein won the Special Jury Prize at the 52nd National Awards in 2011. And the work of the Kabir project was given the Sadbhavana Award for contributing to interfaith understanding. That is in 2016. Her work is enabled by the Srishti Manipal Institute of Art, Design and Technology in Bangalore, where she is located as an artist in residence. And this is where the Kabir project is housed. So welcome, ma'am. Welcome to the Yoga Samvād. We are very honored to have you here.
Thank you.
And in dialogue with Shabnam Virmani is Sri Raghu Ananthanarayanan. 3 extraordinary teachers have mentored Raghu in different phases of his life: Jiddu Krishnamurti, Yogacharya Krishnamacharya, and Dr. Pulin Garg. And he was intimately involved with them for more than a decade from his late 20s. His work revolves around helping individuals, groups, and organizations discover their dharma and becoming the best that they can be. And this, he believes, aligns with his own personal sadhana. Formerly trained as an engineer from IIT Madras, he has been in immersive involvement with the questions of human life. In academic areas, he has been the co-founder of Sumedha's Academy of Human Context since 1995, of Barefoot Academy of Governance with Tata Institute of Social Science since 2012, and as director of Flame Tower Nowhere Private Limited. Raghu also spans the commercial world of consulting by helping redesign client organizations with greater alignment and synergy. He has authored several books: Learning Through Yoga, Totally Aligned Organizations, and Leadership Dharma. And currently, he and his wife, Shashi, dons the role of chief mentors at Ritambhara Ashram and is nurturing a group of youngsters on a sacred quest. Welcome, Raghu. Very glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Hari.
So, I will now invite Raghu to give an introduction to the theme of this particular Yoga Samvād, which is, like all other Yoga Samvāds, based on the Saptasura framework. So, over to you, Raghu.
Thank you. Okay. Let me start with this idea of peace and sustainability and yoga. One of the foremost questions I think that all of us are facing today has to do with sustainability. Yeah, in the 70s, when I just about finishing college, there was this very famous study that had come out called the Club of Rome report, and many of the predictions it made about peak oil and the resources of the world uh, getting burnt out and so on are all around the corner. So now the question is not whether it's going to happen or not, but when is it going to happen? And I'm hoping I'm not going to be alive at that time, but it's possible that I might be alive. Okay, most of the predictions are around 2030, 2040, and so on. So it's time we took this question of what are we doing to the earth? What are we doing to each other? Why is there war? Many of these questions have to be taken up not just with seriousness, but I think with a lot of urgency. And I'm hoping it's not too late to really deeply engage with these questions. And in my understanding, the Yoga Sutras, Mahabharata, and many of the Indic traditions provides a very simple and very elegant way in which one can engage with many of these questions. So the Saptasvara itself has come out of a challenge of this kind, where the question was, can we look at the Indian understanding of life and so on in a simple way? Because people think it's very complicated, whereas it has a very simple underlying ground and many layers that have been built upon it. So it's a very beautiful tapestry, but the fundamental motive is very, very simple. So I sat down and thought about it for a while, and there are 7 key words that we came up with, which captures the essence of Indic thought, and you'll find these words in all forms of Indic thought. So these 7 words that we're working on is one is Maitri, which any of you who've been through Vipassana and so on would have heard the word metta over and over again. Metta is the Pali of Maitri. Yeah, the second key word is karma, and karma not in terms of the very distorted theory of karma, but as action, and what does my action mean and what does it imply. And both of these have to be anchored in dharma. And dharma, again, to us is a very simple question. The question is what I'm doing enlivening me, enlivening you, and enlivening the context simultaneously? And I think if we ask this question in so many different endeavors that we are doing, both peace and sustainability will be quite easy as an outcome. And then we explore the word jnana, which is simply, do I understand deeply? Do I know deeply? Do I have a scientific mind to inquire into things and get to the truth of things that I use, skills that I work with, and so on? That's the fourth word, jnana. And then there's a very important word, and Shabnam's presence here this week, this time, and we had Padma ji, Dr. Padma, talking about dance and all that is a very important aspect of Indian thought, which is called Ramyam, where the question is there delight and is there beauty in what we're doing? And beauty as a form of inquiry is a very important part of spiritual inquiry for us. So Ramyam is the other word. And then yoga, where we are using the word yoga in this context a little bit of a focused way, where we are saying, can I as an individual bring an integration to all my energies? And again, there's a lot of work in the mystic traditions, in Kabir's work, in several Dalit poets and other poets, which talk about the sheer beauty of just the human integration and questioning several things that happen in the context and so on, all of which to us would fall into yoga and abhyasa, which is not just for you to sit in one corner and do these things, but to come to the marketplace and to practice them, because that is where you can influence change. By sitting in some corner and doing something called a sadhana, nothing is going to happen. So these are the 7 words based on which we've built a lot of our work. And and we'd like people to understand them, work with them a lot more. Yeah. So with that introduction, I'll hand you over to Shabnam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Raghu, for this introduction. And that very evocative framework with those rich words which signal actually universes of meaning and experience and inquiry. I would like to start this talk today with a prefatory apology for not being a very informed yogi or a scholar. In a conversation with Raghu and Hari before we came up with this idea, I was drawn to the idea of exploring the idea of delight. Delight in Kabir's poetry, because Kabir does tend to come across as a challenging, mocking, tender, loving voice, but delight, where would you find delight in Kabir's poetry? So it was a fresh lens for me, and I've really enjoyed putting together just a few thoughts for all of you this evening. And I leave it to the curators of these talk series to see how this might resonate with the Saptaswaram that Raghu has outlined. So if we look at the idea of rasa, uh, um, rasa, as we all know, is literally the sap of a tree, the fruit of a juice. But if we go a little deeper, it's an extract or an essence, the finest part of something like perfume. If we go a little deeper, it is the taste, the flavor, the relish that we derive from consuming or handling something. And ultimately, a rasa is that which delivers a state of heightened delight to the spirit, to our being of ananda. So I thought, let me take the idea of rasa, because rasa um, uh, is evocative immediately for me when I think of Kabir's oeuvre and Kabir's voice. So I'm going to try and do 2 things here today. One is, we could inquire into Kabir's own voice, Kabir's own poems and songs, and ask, where does Kabir signal rasa, signal delight? And the other thing I'd like to do today is to ask the question, where do receivers of these poems and songs of the Kabir tradition taste rasa? Because my immersion in the last 2 decades has been primarily in the oral folk satsang traditions of rural India and Malwa, Rajasthan, Kutch, and it is in immersing in these spaces that I have a few reflections and thoughts that I would like to share with you about the reception of uh, reception and participation in the in Kabir's poetry that I have witnessed and that I have tasted myself. Um, so those would be the 2 lenses in which we inquire into Rasa and Kabir, both in his poems and in their reception. So immediately when you say Rasa and Kabir, you know he's not talking about Vishay Ras. That's a term that comes up a lot in Kabir's poetry. What does Kabir say? He says, Binna rasana se rasa pivana. Without a tongue to taste that flavor, to taste that relish. And there's a famous song of Kabir, Hum Paradesi Panchi Baba, where he will say, Mukh bin gavana, पग बिन चलना बिना पंखों से उड़ जाए, to sing or speak with no mouth at all, to walk with no feet, and with no wings to fly away. So too, Kabir is inviting us to taste a rasa that won't come upon this tongue. So he will speak about a giving up of the grosser um, vishay ras that sucks our being, um, and invite us to taste. Two terms come to mind immediately. One is amiras or amrit, and the second is ramras. And I think he uses these terms interchangeably. So he will say, Amrit chhod vishay ras pive, ulti phans phasani. So you've tangled your life in a noose and you're hanging upside down because of your rapacious desire for visheras and your inability to apprehend or taste the amiras or the amrit. So evidently the amiras is a taste that lies beyond our gross senses. It's a signal from Kabir to cultivate senses that are subtler, that can be tasted without this tongue, and that are possibly inner, opening doors of perception to a different kind of universe. And many of his songs will speak of Gagan mein jhadi lagi, tu pile amiras dhara gagan mein jhadi lagi, or Amiya jhade ho sadho, ini bhavar gufa kamaye Amiya jhare. So I just want to signal there's a very direct yogic reference there when he says that where is this amiras showering, and he will signal that it is showering in this Bhavar Gufa, in this cave, in this sky dome, uh, which the yogi is capable of tasting. But let's look at what are the more accessible evocations of amiras for all of us. Whether we are yogis and have reversed the flow of downward flowing energies and made our kundalini rise, and whether we have tasted that tapakna or not, how can we, you and me, as fledgling practitioners of yoga and as people who are struggling on this path of spiritual awareness, how can we relate to these ideas? And immediately, one idea about amiras is that uh, it's an extract, it's an essence that bubbled up from the ocean through the churning of the ocean. We all know this famous myth. And this churning is a very interesting image. And I feel it is particularly evocative for Kabir because I find in his poetry many evocations of circular movements. And it's very interesting. What are all these circular movements that Kabir will speak about? And in all these circular movements, there's something to be discovered, tasted, reached, attained in the center, not on the margins of this circular movement. So I'm going to speak about what came to me immediately when I thought of the churning of the ocean for the bubbling up of this ambrosia, this elixir, this amrit, this amiras. I thought also of the potter's wheel. I also thought of the grinding stone, because both these things feature in Kabir's poetry, and I'll share some poems with you. Oops. Sorry, I have just detuned my tambura. You will bear with me. The pitfalls of Zoom concerts. So Kabir says, Hijra Kabir Hari Ras यूं पिया बाकी रही न चाक पाखा कलश कुम्हार का बहुरी न चढ़े छाक हे जिरे बहुरी न चढ़े चाक कबीर हरी रस यूं पिया बाकी रही न छाक पाका कलश कुम्हार का बहुरी न चढ़े चाक. I'm heady with the taste of Hari, says Kabir. All wines have lost appeal. The potter's urn, once fully baked, won't climb back on his wheel. So this wheel of the potter is being evoked as something, an evocation of some kind of cycles of existence, of coming and going, which when you have ripened in your understanding, you do not want to return to that. Then you're just sliced off from the center of that potter's wheel by the potter as a fully shaped, beautiful urn. चलती चाकी देख कर ओ जी दिया कबीरा रो इन दो पाटन के बीच में साबुत बचा न कोई. You must have heard this. The grinding stone turns and whirls. Kabir watches and weeps. Caught between two slabs, no one was left whole. चाकी चाकी सब कहे जिरे एरे रे रे खीली कहे न कोई जो खीली से लाग रहा हाँ वाको बाल न बांका हो. Grinding slabs are all they see. No one notices the center pin. A few grains draw close to it and escape unbroken. So I wanted to signal this idea of churning, of grinding, of some kind of a distillation of an essence that happens. Evidently, the ocean can be the Bhavsagar, the ocean of becoming. When our soul and our jeeves, our bodies, our lives, ourselves have churned long enough in the travails and tribulations of being in this Bhavsagar, this ocean of becoming, there is some essence, some refinement of our spirit that occurs, which is signaled by amiras. So many songs of Kabir will speak about आस पास खारा समुद्र है बीच में अमीरस भेरी. You know, on all sides there is the salty taste of samsara, and what's churning in the center is the sweet taste of amiras. And I think Kabir will signal this refined sensibility in many, many beautiful metaphors. He will speak about sugar cane turning to shakkar, turning to sugar, and eventually that refined mishri, jhini khand, he will call it. He will speak of it as the churning of the milk, from which will arise butter, from which will arise ghee. And very often he will say, the world is settling for buttermilk, but Sant, the spirit of Kabir, or the sensibility of a Sant, is one who tastes the butter or the ghee. So, in this sense, I feel in Kabir, rasa is a taste that you derive from the crushing, the breaking, the grinding, the pain, the sorrow of samsara. Because none, if you notice, none of these distillates that he is speaking about are possible without some kind of pain, some kind of crushing, some kind of dissolution, um, some kind of breakdown. He will speak about that redness that is latent in the heart of the henna leaf. But how is it going to be achieved or manifest? How will you see that lali, that redness in that henna leaf? Only by the crushing of that henna leaf, by its grinding and pasting, only through that. Another image I think he and many other saint poets evoke is that of the moti, or the jewel, the which is to be found in the bowels of the earth, and it takes shape under intense pressure and heat. The diamond isn't easily created. It is intense pressure and heat that leads to its clarified consciousness, where the light passes through. And this is equally an image for the clarified nature of milk or butter, because the light goes through. It's not opaque anymore. And that purification or clarification of our spirit is possible only through this manthan. There is no shortcutting this pain. So I'd like to sing a song for you from which I have learned from a wonderful folk singer, Mahesha Ramji, from Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, which speaks of this idea of an essence, an extract. ऐसा ऐसा हीरला घटमा कहिए, johari bina hira kaun parkhe. There are such jewels in this body self, but without the gaze of a jeweler, who will find them? ऐसा ऐसा घृत दूध माँ कहिए, झुगिए बिना माखन कैसे निकले. There is so much ghee in this milk consciousness, but without churning it, how will the butter emerge? ऐसा ऐसी ऐसी आग लकड़ी माँ कहिए, घसीए बिना आग कैसे निकले. Again, the idea of chafing. Ghasna is like a kind of a chafing of the wood to make that fire in its belly manifest. ऐसा ऐसा किवाड़ हिवड़े पे जड़िया. Such locks put upon your heart. Guru bina tala kaun khole. Without the guru, who is going to open these locks? Kahat Kabira suno bhai sado, thane Ram mile. Once you find this Ram, who can touch you? Who can harm you? Which Ram? The main refrain of the song says, Tharo Ram hirday mai, bahar kahin bhatke. This Ram is to be found in your heart, nowhere else. So why wander outside? So this turning inwards, from outward seeking senses to something that churns within us and makes this amiras, this taste of amiras or ramras possible. अरे ऐसा ऐसा हीर लावा घट कहिए, जोहरी बिना हीरा कौन परखे, हम जोहरी बिना हीरा कौन परखे, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके। क्यों भटके बाहर क्यों भटके, हम क्यों भटके बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके। अरे ऐसा ऐसा घृत तो वो दूध मामा कहिए, हाँ ऐसा ऐसा घृत तो वो दूध मामा कहिए, झुगे बिना माखन कैसे निकले, हाँ झुगे बिना माखन कैसे निकले, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके। क्यों भटके बाहर क्यों भटके, हाँ क्यों भटके बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके। हाँ ऐसी ऐसी आग तो लकड़ी माँ कहिए, ऐसी ऐसी आग तो लकड़ी माँ कहिए, घसिए बिना आग कैसे निकले, हो घसिए बिना आग कैसे निकले, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके। क्यों भटके बाहर क्यों भटके, हो क्यों भटके बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके। ऐसा ऐसा किवाड़ तो हिवड़े पे चढ़िया, ऐसा ऐसा किवाड़ तो हिवड़े पे चढ़िया, गुरु बिना ताला कौन खोले, हम गुरु बिना ताला कौन खोले, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके। क्यों भटके बाहर क्यों भटके, हो क्यों भटके बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके। कहे हो कबीर सा सुनो भाई साधु, कहे हो कबीर सा सुनो मेरे साधु, राम मिले थाने कौन हटके, हम राम मिले थाने कौन हटके, थारो राम हृदय में बाहर क्यों भटके, So this was one idea around the idea of ras or amiras, which the idea of churning and a kind of a distillation and the extraction of an essence of being, which can only come through pain or churning. And now let's dwell a little deeper on the idea of amiras or amrit. The root of the word is amrit. I'd like to prefer that in Kabir's universe, rasa is evoked in the taste of death or deathlessness, amrit, in the taste of letting go, in the taste of coming unstuck. Kabir says, मैं मेरा घर जाड़िया लियो पलीता हाथ, कोई अगर घर जा रे आपणो चले हमारे साथ, राम रस मीठो घणो पिए अमर होई जाए. He's saying, I've burnt down my home. The torch is blazing in my hand. You want to walk with me? Then burn yours to the ground. This is the taste of Ram, a nectar incredibly sweet. The specter of death dissolves. Drink it and you are free. So I think this taste of freedom, freedom from coming and going, freedom from cycles of birth and death, freedom from cycles of clinging and losing, is the taste of Ram Ras, which grants you deathlessness in the here and now. So it's a very interesting song. He goes on to say, Ghar jare, ghar ubare, ghar rakhyo ghar jaye. If you burn down your house, it is saved. But if you cling to it, it's gone. Ek achambho mein dekhiyo, mado kaal ne khaye. I saw such a wondrous sight, a miraculous sight, a dead man eating time. Aage re aage dav jale piche hariya hoye. Ahead the fire is raging, and in its wake the grass is springing green. Balihari una rukhdi, jad katyo ne phal hoye. So I am in awe, I am in surrender to that tree, which fruits when you cut its roots. Dhruv piyo, Prahlad piyo, piyo pipe Ravidas, Bhagat Kabiro pi rahyo, pher pivan ri aas. All of them drank this rasa, this Ram rasa. Dhruv, Pipa, Ravidas, and this Bhagat Kabir also drank it in such a way that he is never quenched. His thirst for this ras is never quenched. So this too is a song from the Rajasthani tradition. चलो हमारे साथ है राम रस मीठो घनो रे जोगिया जिया दिया अमर होई जा But this is a counterintuitive sensibility. It runs against the grain of our ordinary instincts, doesn't it? to cut the roots of a tree to make it fruit. Who would say that? So evidently this ramras, this taste is a cultivated one. Iska swad is not something many will savor because it's a new kind of habit of achieving deathlessness through the act of dying. So Kabir says, Je kato to lehlahai, sincho to kumlaye, is gunmanti bel ka, kachu gun kaha na jai. Fell it to make it flourish, water it to make it wilt. This creeper is quite amazing. What can be said of it? Uncha tarvara gagan phal birla panchi khai va phal to wo hi chakhe jo jeete ji mar jaye. The tree is high and its fruit is the sky, is emptiness. But a rare bird will get this prize. Only that one will savor this fruit who can die when still alive. So, I think this is the taste that Kabir is inviting us to develop, to cultivate a taste for, this rasa. Because there is a delight in confronting death, in confronting impermanence. It may sound odd, but I think it's clear that when we own things with the delusion of permanence, we don't truly taste them. But when those things that we own, whether it's people, relationships, assets, whatever, are constantly shot through with a sense of impermanence, we begin to taste them. We come into this present moment because that's all we have, right? That's when less becomes more. And that's when dullness turns to delight. And Kabir expresses this delight through a deeply material aesthetic. His images are of beauty and fragility at the same time. So his images abound with metaphors for the making and the breaking of things. The clay pot, so beautiful, it makes a beautiful sound, but it will shatter. That bead necklace, so beautiful, but it shall snap. That tambura that makes this gorgeous sound will meet with the dust. He will speak of this body as a kachi kali kachnar ki, a tender bud, a blossom of the kachnar tree. And in the next breath, he will call it a bag of skin. So all these images of delight in this life, in this body, are an apprehension of beauty and fragility in the same breath. It is the shadow of a cloud. It is a trembling water bubble. It is a drop of dew. All images of deep delight are shot through with an apprehension of death in Kabir. And that delight comes because when you know it's not there for too long, you begin to receive that as a gift with a sense of wonder. So he says, Das dware ka pinjra, yame pakshi pavan. In a cage of 10 doors, a bird of air abides. Rehbe ko achraj hai, jaat achambha kaun. What a wonder that this bird of air abides, that it stays, that it flies is no surprise. So And this brings me to the idea of rasa in the reception of these songs. And for me, the most marmic or epiphanic moment in the immersion in the oral traditions of Malwa and Rajasthan was to see how people get up and dance to songs of death, to songs of Kabir that speak about death, that speak about the ending of things. They will just get up and dance because there is a sense of freedom. Uh, and uh, they will speak of this embodied act of experience of freedom through the singing of the songs of Kabir as a ras. I remember one singer from Malwa, Ramprasad Ataria, said, "Is ras mein hum bheej gaye hain." I'm drenched in this nectar of Kabir songs. Isse badi koi cheez nahi. There is no bigger thing. And in that sense, in rasa theory, in Indian aesthetics, it has been argued that the experience of rasa belongs not to the poet or to the singer or to the performer as much as it belongs to the receiver, to the viewer, to the listener. The poet and the singer are mere vessels of that goblet of wine. Okay, their job is to deliver that wine to you. You are tasting the wine, you are the listener, you are the viewer. And uh, that is a very significant thing, because I think in the folk oral traditions of Kabir, I have sensed this empowerment that people feel. It's not about I mean, they will even say, Kabir to hum bhi hain. You know, I'm myself Kabir, which I earlier would find very difficult to understand. But I think what they are talking about is that the poet Kabir is a mere vessel that sparks an experience within, that activates the spirit of Kabir within them. So now I'll end with the idea of Ramya, though listening to the idea of Ramyam from you, I put it in the title of this talk, Rasa and Ramya in Kabir. Perhaps what I meant more pointedly is Ramna. Uh, and I don't think we are too far off the mark if we say Ramya, because Ramya means beauty, it means that which gives delight. And Ramna has two meanings. Ramna or Raman is to roam with delight, to roam free, which is why in the tradition there is often an evocation of the Ramta Jogi, the wandering, free, ascetic sage. Many of Kabir's songs will be addressed to the Ramta Jogi, right? So, I think the idea of Ramna in Kabir is very related to the idea of delight, and he will speak of Maharo Pirbhu Rameche Niradharo. My God roams and plays with no Niradhar, with no structures, no dependencies, free. He will say, "Main anhad mein ram jai." I have become absorbed. I roam now in that anhad, in that limitless. So in the idea of Ramna, there is a sense of roaming free with a sense of delight. There is equally a sense of krida or play, vilas, bliss, a bliss induced by play. And I think this is deeply significant. Why does play give a sense of delight? Because we are not attached, right? Because we say it's only a game. That's why when we play games, we become childlike. We develop the ability to have a sense of humor. It's a relief from that oh so burdenful, self-important way of being that our adulthood signifies, or human beings signify. We become childlike, and the idea of khel is pervasive in Kabir. So Ramna also means play, and he will also use the word khel. Okay? And this is a beautiful doha which says, एक डाल दो पंछी बैठा, एक गुरु एक चेला, चेला रहया सो रस चुन खाया, गुरु निरंतर खेला. So, एक डाल दो पंछी बैठा. On one branch, this image is also found in the Upanishads. On one branch are sitting two birds. One is a guru, one is the chela. The chela is partaking of the rasa of this world, tasting the fruits of this world, participating. And the guru is forever at play, nirantar, in a sense of play. Now, we do know that both these birds are aspects of ourselves, right? And splitting ourselves into two birds immediately signals the attitude of non-attachment, the attitude of detachment. So that part of us which is totally in the game is only one part of us. There is the other witnessing part of us, right? So this taste, this delight, this aesthetic delight of death in Kabir is a kind of letting go, disidentifying, disengaging. Because when you disengage, you begin to smile. You begin to recognize the play, the leela, right? Play is also like drama, right? You are in it, you are that character, but then truly speaking, you aren't, right? That hona or na hona ke beech mein hai that sense of theater, that sense of play, that sense of delight. So I'm going to end now with a couple of poems. टूटा बरत आकाश में जिरे, रे 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 कौन सकत है झेल, साधु सती और संत का हाँ, आनी ऊपर खेल. This too is about a play. Kabir says, Tuta Bharat Akash mein. Bharat is a rope, a tightrope, snaps in the sky. What a beautiful poetic image for the utterly unpredictable impermanence which defines all of life, right? Tuta Bharat Akash mein. We live in the times of COVID. Who knows? Just round the corner. Tuta Bharat Akash mein. A tightrope snaps in the sky. Kaun sakat hai jhel? Who can withstand this? How will you be saved? Sadhu, sati और सूर का आनी ऊपर खेल. All these guys are truth seekers. The warrior, the truth seeker, the sadhu. Only truth seekers play this game. Poised on the point of a blade. Ani upar khel. So, that is why delight, that is why ramyam, that is why rasa. Because this ananda comes from that taste of cultivating the art of dying in each moment, cultivating the art of not clinging but letting go, of not claiming but disowning, of dying when still alive. So Kabir says, Karta anand khel lai, omkar te srishti upai. आनंद धरती आनंद आकाशा, आनंद चंद सूर परकासा, आनंद आदि अंत मध तारा, आनंद अंधकूप उजियारा, आनंद सागर समुद्र तरंगा, आनंद सरस्वती जमुना गंगा, करता एक और सब खेल, मरत जन्म बिरह मेल। खेल जल थल सकल जहाना, खेल जानू जमी आसमाना, खेल का ये सकल पसारा, खेल माही रहे संसारा। कहें कबीर सब खेलन माही, खेलन हार को चीन्हे नाही। I just did a very quick translation before this session of this incredible poem. That creator spread out a game of delight. With one sound, the universe arose, earth delight, sky delight. Moon, sun, all radiance delight, origin, middle, and end delight. In delight arose all the stars, delight the darkness, delight the light. Delight the ocean, its surging waves, delight creation, its waterways. The doer is one, all the rest is a play. This pain of dying, this coming to life, a play, all our leavings and partings, a play, all our returnings and meetings. The people of this world are so lost in this play. They don't see the grandmaster who spread out the game. So, if we have time, I'd like to have a conversation. I could end with one more song. I leave that to you.
I'd love to keep listening, yeah, to the music.
One more song. We are getting on chat also.
Yeah.
Continue the song.
One more song. Okay. Okay. So I wanted to share this song, which I've learned from Kutch, Gujarat. And the reason I chose this song was because it very interestingly, I think, touches upon all the ideas that we have spoken about today. The idea of going beyond the ordinary compulsions of our senses. That's where we started, Vishayaras. It includes the idea of impermanence. It evokes the image of colors fading in all corners. And it ends with a sense of wonder and delight, evoked through beautifully the image of a light rain and lightning, and a sense of the sacred stretching in all four directions. So this song says, Chal chal pancha sumediye, pachvis ne vash kare. Surena re. So I just in the time, I'm going to sing the poem. So I'll just share the translation with you and then go into the song. Come, let's meet with the five. The five senses, evidently. Win them over, the 25. Hold it close, the name, as the colors in all corners dissipate. I found true wisdom, my friend. Now I'm rocking to the sound, says Kabir. Come, chal chal. See, the whole song has this beautiful invitation. Bar bar wo kehte hain, chal chal. You know, it's like, come on, let's go. Come, let's climb to the orbit of the sky, the Gagan Mandal. My dusky beloved dwells there. Two energy channels are pulsing, Ida, Pingala, and the Sushamna dances between them. Come, let's soar to the clear lake of the mind, where a swan splashes and plays. A soft light fills the dawn as she pecks pearls, alert, aware. A gentle rain has begun to fall. Lightning flashes in the clouds, says Kabir. The sacred stretches wherever I look. Chal chal pancha sumediye. Chal chal pancha sumediye, pachvi son पाचा सुमेड़िए बचवी सोने पाशा करे हुआ नाम सुरैनारिए होने होने रंग ढले पूरा सत्ता गुरुदेव मेरी यारिया शब्द धुन लगी रे देनी पूरा सानू देरी यारिया भजनो धुन लगी रे चल गगन मंडल मारिए ओ आरमारो श्याम बसे चल चल गगन मंडल मारिए ओ आरमारो श्याम बसे ओ आएंगला पिंगला सत्ता गुरुदेव मेरी यारिया शब्द धुन लगी रे चल चल मान सरोवरिया चल मान रोवरिया ओ खेल करे जागे जोत जड़ो अरिया चहतो नाचू नाचुगे मैंने पूरा सत्ता गुरुदेव मेरी यारिया झलमल में होला बरसे हुआ बिजड़लो चमकदा करे झलमल में होला बरसे हुआ बिजड़लो चमकदा करे बोल्या दास कबीर आर्य चाहो देसी चमड़ा डले बोल्या भगत कबीर आर्य चाहो देसी चमड़ा डले चल चल पाचा सुमेड़िए बचवी सोने बख्श करे हुआ नाम सुरैनारिया चाहो देसी चमड़ा ढले बेनी पूरा सत्ता गुरुदेव मेरी यारिया शब्द धुन लगी रे भजन धुन लगी रे शब्द धुन लगी रे Thank you.
Thank you, Shabnam. It was so beautiful and very delightful. Very
Thank you.
moving. I'm getting few comments and responses, but before that, I'd like to invite Raghu to share some of his reflections and any questions for a dialogue with Shabnam.
What I'd like to do more than anything else is to be quiet for a little while and really soak it in. Yeah. But I'll just quickly say a few things and then, Shabnam, there are so many things that you spoke about which have almost identical one-on-one correspondence with the Yoga Sutra
Mm-hmm.
that I was just quite blown by it. No, to start with, you kept
Uh-huh.
using the word signal. Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
alinga and
Uh-huh.
linga are very important words in the Yoga Sutra. So that which you have to seek is beyond linga and beyond alinga also. So you can signal
Mm-hmm.
to it, but it's much beyond any signaling. Yeah, and all of the concepts. I mean, the rasa of in yoga, the words would be bhogam and apavarga. Bhoga is getting caught with the rasa of the outside and looking for the rasa deeper,
Right.
and so on. And the metaphor of the pot,
Right.
yeah, and almost everything. The metaphor of Leela has so many parallels. It was just amazing. But I think more important than all the parallels, na, is just the beauty of the whole. Uh, you know, the way you spoke about it. It's been a long time since I just heard one tanpura and what we in Tamil call chaplakatte. The
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it's called in.
Khartal.
Yeah, and that was mesmerizing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I've for long felt this very um, deeply that the lakshan of uh, a spiritually evolved person is a sense of humor, uh, which
Absolutely.
which can come when we have that lightness to be able to uh, taste mm, this play without at any point diminishing the deep sorrow and anguish even that you hear in the voice of Kabir when he speaks about the the follies of the human condition. There is a deep sorrow. Matlab, Dekh Kabira Roye is such a common phrase in Kabir Dohas. Matlab, he is witnessing the folly of the human condition and he is weeping. So the two don't cancel each other out. This incredible sense of humor or lightness of spirit, which can come only if you have that ability to die in every moment, the ability to let go, the ability to detach and be a Ramta Jogi, be a Fakir. That spirit of play and delight is essential to that Fakiri spirit. Um,
Absolutely.
but I just felt like saying that it doesn't cancel out this deep engagement. So, detachment is not disengagement.
Yeah.
It isn't
Absolutely.
a turning away from the world, like you signaled in your opening talk. It's about being in the marketplace.
Yes. Absolutely.
So this what feels, when we come from our very entry level dualistic frameworks, like I did in understanding Kabir, o- so many things will start coming to you like contradictions, like but ye or ye, you know and then slowly you begin to realize that they are contradictions only if you are embedded in a dualistic gaze. If you are
Yeah.
free of that dualism, then you begin to hold things together. They don't cancel each other out.
Yeah, so I'll just leave it to the group question and answers.
No worries.
Thank you, Raghu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shabnam. It was just fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you, Raghu. I enjoyed this invitation. So thanks for giving me this opportunity to curate something and share something with all of you.
So we have some responses coming in, Shabnam. So,
Mm-hmm.
so this is more of a reflection. So when you are referring to that
Yeah.
initially about the wheel, the moving around, so she's
Yes.
sharing that it reminds her of the wheel of fortune card on tarot, where the outer part of the wheel experiences all the turbulence, and the inner center is stable and unfazed by all the turning that's happening.
Right. So true. It's also the image of the whirling dervish, right? Where the outer margins of the circumference of the whirling are in motion, and there is a stillness in the center. So thank you for that connection. It's absolutely true.
We have Laura sharing, just diving in delight through your words and songs. And she would also like to know if she can find a link to the poems that you just sang today. Is there a link or something that?
Yes, I don't know about a link to all the poems, but definitely links to all the songs. You will find on our website, ajabshahar.org, which I am typing into the chat right here. You will find this online digital archive that we've created, which features poems and songs by singers across many regions of the country, wherever our research has taken us. So it's a veritable mine, uh, a jewel mine. For those of you who have a taste for this poetry, you can go to that Ajab Shahar and get lost, and hopefully in the process find yourself. So enjoy.
Thanks, Shabnam. We have a question from Sayantan Chaudhary. Um,
Yes.
I'll just read it out. Hearing of play,
Yes.
delight, and freedom makes me think, isn't all life born with that in the form of a child? Does this child also not have Ram evoked in them? And is there a difference between this child and the Kabir who has to suffer to transcend death and enjoy the same pleasures again?
Thank you for that question. I'm not totally sure what the question is, but I get a sense of the drift. Um, um, as somebody I deeply respect, Jyoti Sahi. He's a thinker and a painter based in Bangalore and very deeply connected with Kabir. Ek baar wo ghar aaye the, he had come home for a satsang and he said, the spirit of a mystic is uh, returning to the child, rediscovering the child within. Because children have that, I guess, uh, lack of pragmatism, maybe. I think as adults, we become too pragmatic and we become, therefore, jaded, we become dull. Uh, we're too full of agendas. I think children have a capacity to play with no agenda. And this being agenda-less is the wellspring of a lot of ananda. Uh, so I would put it that way, that we go through all the sorrows of love and loss. And we keep learning those same lessons. We keep clinging and we keep losing till we learn to let go. And when we let go, something shifts. So I think that's how I see this whole question you've raised of the child and the pain and the suffering. Yeah. Yeah. Letting go of agendas.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I'm also seeing another interesting question here from Pranav. Thank you. One very silly question. When we say we need to dissolve duality, will we lose our capacity to discriminate between good and bad? That is, can a mystic who sees one in all still function in a secular manner? If yes, isn't it contradictory? I realize there's no direct answer to this question, but perhaps we could dwell on it a bit. You have asked a very, very important question. It's not a silly question at all. And I struggle to be able to find maybe I will draw on Buddhist ideas, which will speak of a conventional truth and the ultimate truth. I'm not sure if this is the right answer. I'm exploring with you. There are struggles to there is stance to be taken, there is right and there is wrong. But I think if at all points we are aware that this is conventional truth, that these are mechanisms to identify with, but not wholly. There is a part of you that is stepped back and seeing the non-duality of reality. I feel it is that delicate in-between space that Kabir takes us to. And it's very difficult to achieve that in-between state where you see everything as one and yet you do not retreat into some kind of apolitical sab chalta hai space, which makes you lose agency for change, for engaging with the world, for being part of meaningful work. So that हाँ और ना के बीच में वाली जो जगह है, that space between yes and no is what Kabir invites us to inhabit. That yes, there is this dualistic understanding, but no, there isn't. And both can be held in one space. I struggle to answer this question, and I know I haven't answered it, but I'm trying. I'm trying to sort of understand this because it is a very important question that you have asked. And I think इसमें बहुत मर्म की बात है. Because I feel that all the struggles for social change, the struggles that have fought oppression by, say, upper castes or by patriarchy, have at some point also been very dualistic in their at some level, I feel, and not gone beyond them. And there is some new strategy we all have to come up with, a new sensibility that allows us to work without so much identification in that makes us lose a truer perspective, which is feel novel. Sorry, I haven't been able to answer that very well, but I tried.
Thank you. I do have a question, Shabnam, and this is with
Yes, Hari.
the upcoming book, which is very interestingly
Yes.
titled "Burn Down Your House." I think it has some reference to the song that you mentioned. So, would it
Yes, very much.
more about life because it's titled "Life Lessons from Kabir"?
So this is part of a series being brought out by LF called Life Lessons From, and the series is focusing on different great people from this part of our world. So I think life lessons from um, Vivekananda, uh, mm, Chishti, um, I think Lal did. They have many different thinkers. So they approached me to do something on Kabir. And so life lessons from Kabir is part of this title of the series. Burn Down Your House, I thought was sufficiently cheeky and challenging uh, as a title, because uh, we have many homilies that inhabit the spiritual world. Look within, it is all within, or um, we are all one. What does it mean? And I really delight in Kabir's rhetoric and way of putting things, because he will slice through all those homilies and challenge you in a way that really can be irksome. You either have to listen to him, or he doesn't let you float away into this feel good sort of, it's all one and it's all within. No, it takes more gumption to reach there. So he will say, burn down your house, or he will say, cut off your head, or he will say, uh, yeah, things like that. So
Thank you. So Rachana is asking, can I find the poem that you narrated on Ananda on Ajesh? The
Ajab Shahar. No, it's thank you for Yoga Samvada, because I plucked it out from some recent research I did for this book, Burn Down Your House. But I could myself delight in it fully because I was dwelling on it for this talk. So it is not on Ajab Shahar. I have never heard it sung. It is something I read in Pandit Hariprasad Varma's Kabir. It's a wonderful book on Kabir in Hindi for those of who are you are interested, and that's where I got it from. And I hope it will be in the book that I come up with by hopefully the end of this year. Yeah.
and Laura says, thanks for pointing to the space between unity and duality, and to invite us to look deeply into that space.
Yeah. This is something I speak about in the book as well, which is that um, mm, uh, Kabir is not inviting us to transcend this world, this body, this name, this language, this nation, this religion, all the sagun markers of form in which we are located, starting with our body. Our body itself is a form, right? But Kabir is a Nirgun poet, and he will keep, making us take this journey from the body to beyond, right? Or from Sagun to Nirgun. So far, so good. And I would think, this is something that even the wider Hindu Indic tradition would speak of. But I feel what makes Kabir distinct is that he keeps bringing us back to the body. I think it's a bit of a misnomer to overly stress that Kabir is only a Nirgun poet, that that's where it all lies. No, he will, in poem after poem, bring you back to the Deha, to the Sharira. Yah is ghat antar bag bagiche. There is no other place but this located particular form, which is your name, your caste, well, not caste, but all these forms in which you are embedded. They are not to be shed. And I somewhere feel this, somewhere here, there is a hint of an answer to that very important question someone asked about duality. It is not about uh, getting rid of duality in one transcendental soup where we are all one, undifferentiated. Not at all. I think it's this movement that Kabir does between one and two that is important. In one place, he says, एक कहूं तो है नहीं, दो कहूं तो gari. If I say one, it isn't true. If I say two, it's like slander. It isn't, it's wrong. Uh, है जैसा वैसा रहे, कहे कबीर बिचारी. The way it is, so it is. वैसा रहे. So you could even translate that as the way it is, let it be. Meaning, don't define. You don't have to call it one or two. You don't have to call it dual or non-dual even. And Kabir is saying this very thoughtfully. Kahe Kabir Vichari. So I think it is here. It is not a denial of our locatedness, our being located in dual frameworks. If we are women, we have to struggle against structures of patriarchy. If we are Dalits, we have to wage those battles that need to be fought. But we have to also be able to leap out of the skin of being Dalit or being woman to taste something else. But not at the expense of losing your identity as Dalit or woman. So it is and it isn't, is my argument. I think that is true to Kabir.
Thank you so much, Shabnam. Very, very beautifully answered, and we can, those of us from the yoga space can also very much relate to many of these ideas from a Yoga Sutra perspective, and so quite beautiful.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Anybody has anything to share?
Somebody says, burn down your house sounds like a rock. Discovers Kabir and burns up the stage. Actually breaks the guitar. Yes. Thank you.
And one of them asked, when can we expect your book to be out?
I don't know. The answer to that lies with my publishers, or rather with me, because I am guilty of not finishing and sending the manuscript. They've been waiting very patiently for a long time. And I actually used the lockdown to really immerse in the book and bring it to almost a 90% finished stage. And ever since then, I've been struggling with the last 10%. So I think they've, at the moment, given up on me, and I haven't had a email from my publisher saying, when are you submitting this? So once I submit it, I hope they will be able to put it in a production timeline.
Thank you. There's once again a request for a song.
What can I sing? I'll sing a song that I love from Malwa. It's called Ekla Mat Chhod Jo Banjara Re. Don't leave me alone, O wandering traveler. He says, hi, Radhu, so nice to see you here. Nice to see a face, my God, and not just tiles of names. So thank you for opening your video. It makes such a difference. And thank you, Vinti, for opening your video. And thank you, Laura, for opening your video. So I'll sing Ekla Mat Chhod Jo Banjara Re. In this, Kabir says, you know, Pardes ka hai mamla khota pyara re. You know, this business of foreign lands is tricky. Lots of falsity and delusions there. This constant seeking in outer lands. Apna sahib ji ne banglo banayo, upar rakhiya jharokha. Jhankya karo pyara re. So it's a very gentle, wandering gypsy to come home and say, is a beautiful bungalow with a balcony overhead, and you can glimpse the beauty within. Apna sahib ji ne baag lagayo, phula bhari hai chhabdi, poya karo pyara re. So he says, there is a wondrous garden abloom right here. Why don't you string a garland of flowers here? oh, wandering gypsy. Then he says, Apna Sahib ji ne kuo khanayo. A very deep well was dug right here. Gehra bhariya neer, nahaya karo pyara re. Very deep water within. This is where you can take a cleansing, cooling bath. Kahe Kabir Dharamdas se, Sat Amrapur paviya, sauda karo pyara re. So strike that sauda, that bargain, Banjara, which brings you to the city of truth. Sat Amrapur, the city of timelessness. Amrapur is eternal, and it's kind of orthogonal to the idea of linear time. It's a place that is beyond past and future, beyond notions of impermanent or everlasting. It's a place where, you just enter, you pass through that veil of linear time and enter into the now. That's how I understand Amarpur. एकला मत छोड़ जोरे पण जारा रे पण जारा रे एकला मत छोड़ जोरे पण जारा रे पण जारा रे परदेस का है मामला टेढ़ा हो साहिब जी ने बंगलो बनायो बन जारा रे बन जारा रे अपना साहिब जी ने बंगलो बनायो बन जारा रे बन जारा रे ऊपर रखिया झारो खार झांकिया करो प्यारा रे ऊपर रखिया झारो खार झांकिया करो प्यारा रे एकला मत छोड़ जोरे बन जारा रे बन जारा रे परदेस का है मामला टेढ़ा हो प्यारा रे अपना साहिब जी ने बाग लगायो बन जारा रे बन जारा रे अपना साहिब जी ने बाग लगायो बन जारा रे बन जारा रे फूला भरी है छाबड़ी बोया करो प्यारा रे फूला भरी है टोकनी टांकिया करो प्यारा रे एकला मत छोड़ जोरे बन जारा रे बन जारा रे साहिब जी ने कुओं खड़ायो बन जारा रे बन जारा रे अपना साहिब जी ने कुओं खड़ायो बन जारा रे बन जारा रे हाँ गहरा भरिया नीर बहनाया करो प्यारा रे और गहरा गहरा भरिया नीर बहनाया करो प्यारा रे आहा एकला मत छोड़ जोर बन जारा रे बन जारा रे हाँ परदेस का है मामला टेढ़ा हो प्यारा रे कहे कबीर सा धर्म दास से रे बन जारा रे बन जारा रे हाँ कहे कबीर सा धर्म दास से रे बन जारा रे बन जारा रे हाँ सतमरा पुरा पाविया सौदा करो प्यारा रे हाँ सतमरा पुरा पाविया सौदा गिर प्यारा रे आहा एकला मत छोड़ जोर बन जारा रे बन जारा रे हाँ परदेस का है मामला टेढ़ा हो प्यारा रे हाँ दूरा देश रा मामला खोटा हो प्यारा रे हाँ दूरा देश रा मामला टेढ़ा हो प्यारा रे खोटा हो प्यारा रे
Thank you so much, Shabnam, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you for revealing yourselves. Hello, Deepa. Hello, Anjali. So nice to see all of you.
Yeah.
Chaya, hello. I see Chaya as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Shabnam ma'am,
you.
I'm truly in love with you. Oh my God, you are just so good.
Okay. Thank you.
So, since Anu has joined, I should also convey special thanks for introducing Shabnam to us, connecting us for this particular Yoga Samvād. So, thank you, Anu, and glad you could join
Yes.
also. So,
Oh, it's completely a pleasure. It's a pity I couldn't join in because I had an earlier commitment, but I could join in earlier, but it's totally a pleasure. Totally.
okay, so as everyone is sharing, it has been a very beautiful, delightful evening, and we hope to see you again sometime and have more such songs and dialogues around Kabir and yoga.
Thank you. Hello to Priya and Kaivalya as well. Hello. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for this little fragile Zoom community.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time, Rubaru.
Right. So,
Okay.
thank you all for joining on, listening, joining in, asking all your questions. And we'll continue the Yoga Samvād next month and hope to see you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Shabnam. It was
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Chaya, thanks
Hi.
for showing your mug.
No, it took me some time because there's too much happening around me. Yes, I was there all the time.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. ठीक है, चलो. Okay, bye.